Thank you. Thank you for coming on the show.
Hey, it's truly a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me on, Tats.
How did you end up in roofing?
Desperation, the way most people do. I was earning under 20,000 a year, about 1,600 bucks a month. My rent and utilities was like 1,300. I still had to pay taxes out of that. I still had other expenses. I couldn't afford gas to see my family. I was living on a strict $4.20 a day in groceries. Like, I remember having to budget to buy olive oil. So it was a family holiday, and my family was 2 hours south of me in Illinois, and I couldn't afford gas to drive down there. So I'm in my 20s, and I had to ask my mom. I said, "Hey, I can't afford gas. Can you help me out?" And she fortunately was in a position to say yes and help, and she loves me, and she just did it. I asked her, she chased quick pay back then, sent me the money. And on the drive in, I called her to thank her. And my stepdad, Ron, got on the phone, and Ron was very successful in the roofing world, but my parents divorced at an older age. So I didn't know Ron really in his working life. So he's like, "Hey, Adam, you can do 6 figures selling roofs door to door."
Did it come naturally for you?
The only thing that came naturally to me was people skills. If you're in sales or if you run a sales team, it's like the number one thing to look for is people skills. And we often think people skills can be plugged into roofing. You teach them what to do, they make deals. And I quickly learned that people skills don't translate into sales or closing skills. I had discovered, which I didn't know at the time, what I call the roofing sales success formula. The 3 things that you need to succeed as an individual or as a company. It's the be, the do, the say. The be for an individual is becoming someone capable of achieving the level of success you set out to create. The do, I slowly figured out. It's how I actually started writing the first letters of my marketing battle pack. I wrote these letters, and I'm like, "Hey, I'm going to leave these letters at the door if no one's home. I want to be different. Everyone's leaving door hangers. I'm going to do something different." I made a stack, and I said, "I'm going to go out and knock doors, and I will not be done until every single one of these is up there." And I think I printed out like 100. I forget what they were. So I start doing that, and I start drumming up some conversations, like getting in front of people. I quickly realized that I had no idea what to say. So I had to take this sales knowledge and break it into what I knew of roofing. And that's how I learned how to kind of marry the two and create the formulas and frameworks that I now teach, is to distill those.
So from COO, and obviously you're getting paid well to do this, 5 states you said,
Yeah.
to essentially you're a training and media company now.
Yeah, but it didn't start like that. I was just a consultant.
I mean, at some point you had to go all in. Like, how did that transition feel and look for you?
When I left the roofing space, and what's funny, I was literally, I think 3 weeks ago it was, back the company that I was with, I just was in their office running a training. And I shared this with the team. I said, "You guys might be wondering why I left, right?" And the main reason is burnout. I had developed a structure. I had an office 2 miles from our house that I just set up. The stress got so bad, I developed this heart thing going on. Thought I was having a heart attack. I ended up in the ER in ICU overnight, and it was linked to stress. And I was like, yeah, there's stress. I ended up deciding that this industry wasn't for me. When I left, I had nothing lined up. So the roof strategist, I was a consultant that no one knew. I worked by word of mouth, and it was expensive. It was a few grand a month to work with me. I worked with just a handful of companies at a time, and we just went through the same kind of ops, like how to scale and grow your business. And I covered everything. I was kind of a jack of all trades, the operations, the leadership, sales recruiting, sales systems. But I would work like this, like on Zoom with owners. So I started making videos for my owners and just saying, "Hey, you know what? We just talked about like X, Y, and Z. And I made a short video and I put it up and just share it with your team." Long and short of it, I got burned out on dealing with some bad companies. It put a bad taste in the roofing industry. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to step away from this for a hot minute. I'm going to stay as a sales consultant. It's a whole other story that we may or may not get into. And I worked in direct sales with some really phenomenal people and moved some mountains. We had a lot of fun.
You're in roofing, you're out of roofing, but I always like to ask, if someone was asking you potentially to come into the roofing industry, maybe to go into sales or something. I know you heard the pitch, originally, and you were not 100% sold, but what would you tell someone that's considering roofing or roofing sales as an opportunity?
Roofing sales is stupid simple, but easy. It is absolutely not easy.